Oh, hello and welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Kevin Drina, and we are live. We have all the doctors here. Let me bring them in. And, this is our weekly meetup where we talk about quantum, we talk about energy, vibration, frequencies. Let's hit the record button on this to make sure I get all that. And so, welcome everybody. How are we doing today?
Hey,
Very good.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. So, well, I mentioned to one of the doctors earlier today. I want to talk about harmonics and what that is, what is the human body and nature of harmonics. So it's just another iteration of the conversation of energy, frequency, and vibration. In my point of view. So, um, you know, those of you that are tuning in, connecting with us, none of the doctors know what I'm going to bring up pretty much every week, so it's all off the hip. And so kudos to them for tuning in. It kind of puts everybody on the spot. But we also get a really authentic point of view of what it is to be a human being, what it is to heal and connect to a higher state of consciousness and go about improving ourselves by by applying the knowledge of the laws of nature, as I like to say. And here each of us practices different techniques. We're all board certified in our respective states and countries, and we apply chiropractic and different forms of energy healing. And with that being said, I want to welcome everybody. And Dr. Adrian, I'm going to put you on the spot. You said you're going to be leaving a few moments early, so that's okay. But harmonics, what comes to mind when you hear that term?
Harmonics. To music.
Music, right?
Music. Couldn't I cannot explain what it is in music, but this is also resonance, harmonic resonance of of two object or more object are in actually in synchronistic resonance with each other and being in harmonious state where they kind of feed each other in a symbiosis.
Okay, so I think music. That's like you all the time. I hear the word, and that means I think about the voice, and then that
Mm-hmm.
starts to get within me. I think about how our emotions, our internal voices, so to speak, have a different frequency, a different vibration. And I've been diving into all kinds of research and technologies that are measuring this, and this is why it's important when it comes to any kind of form of healing. There's these frequencies within us that produce these waves, these harmonics within. Um, George, I think you had an aha when I said something there. Any comments or
yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. Well, we talked about this earlier, and I said there was a band story in here. So when I was in high school band, we had a jazz band leader who was a trombone player, and he did a demonstration of harmonics for us one time, and so he sounded a note, and I'm not sure exactly how he did whatever he was doing, but he sounded it in such a way it was very clear and precise, and you could hear the note, but you could hear like a little whistle on top of it. It was like 2 or 3 octaves higher than the note he was playing, but the way he struck it, you could just hear that going on. Another note. The other part that I'm thinking, I drew a picture of a trumpet here because I play trumpet. Um, when you're vibrating your lips and blowing into this 4 feet of tubing called the trumpet, you picture the vibrations going through it, but then when you change the frequency of the lips, like the sine waves get closer together, and so there are because of the length of the tube, it'll it'll resonate with very particular frequencies. In other words, it's going to go from one note to the next to the next. It's not like it's not an infinite amount of space between the notes. So whatever that means.
I got in first into this topic when I say 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. I Someone gave me a CD by these monks that were singing and had to do with healing frequencies by monks that were singing, and I think it was called like Tibetan throat singing or something.
Yep.
And based on their mouth and how they were able to open the muscles and use the muscles of their throat structures, and it produced this resonant this vibration through the body of the monk itself. and project it out through the vocal cords, though they're wonderfully healing. And this is when I was really getting into meditation for the first time in my life. And so it began to this journey of me discovering the nature of how the body itself, the human body itself, is like a musical instrument. In fact, I think there's some jokes out there about that kind of stuff. But no one got that fart joke. Sorry about that.
They call that.
Indeed. Well, keep it light. Keep it light. However, with that being said, there are ways in which the human body is getting affected and affected by a force, whether it's a soothing song by a mom to a daughter, a child, whatever that may be, or even in sound healing, we hear people, go to a spa and you hear the different sounds that people use on the radio and speaker system, and it has a soothing effect. So to me, then I want to have a bigger conversation with people, because that's the internal language, the thought tones that are going on in the chiropractic space, the auto suggestion. I could say it that way. Vesna, thank you for tuning in tonight. What comes to mind when you're hearing this conversation about harmonics, about the human body, healing, things that you heard so far? What comes to mind for you?
The first association is the sound Om, which is so universally known for balancing things, getting things in harmony within us, in the nature.
That's a very beautiful and succinct description of Om. Thank you. There is something magical about doing that, and I invite everyone to look into it and experience. And Sasha, your thoughts?
Well, I think it was before the pandemic. I went to South evening, run by a couple of professionals. There were a couple of dozen of us there, and we all reacted differently to the sound. Very interesting.
Well, that's
very soothing.
Very good point. Each of you responded slightly differently than everybody else. Yet there was an intent. Well, whatever the intention is there. However, I would imagine there was a healing, and we each need that in unique ways. I mean, look, at the same time, I'm pulling up something that maybe I could share with everybody at home. Let's see. It's monks. It's a monk audio, but maybe not. You guys picking it up there at home? Here we are. I'll pull it up for George and the doctors too. Right, so there's all kinds of healing sounds all over the internet, and some of them are, well, maybe good, maybe some of them are not so good. I don't know. But a little experience there for everybody. And the point is, the human body responds to these different various things that one would talk about in physics class. And maybe not everyone's everyday study. For everyone who is out there looking for answers about their health, about their well-being, I invite you to consider how the conversation that we're having today applies to you. And here we're going to be connecting in just a moment at another level. And if you tuned in before, you've seen the graphic where we have from our physical structure that goes all the way down to the intention and the information. And what I believe I'm trying to make connections with in our conversation today is the idea of our thoughts, the idea of a physical form of that vibration, that frequency, which is the tone and sound, and how that plays a role in our physical structure and therefore our well-being. Anyone, Dr. George, Dr. Sasha, anyone else, Dr. Adrian, I know you're getting going here in a few moments. Anyone wanting to comment or add to that, please raise your hand, chime in there for me. Dr. Sasha, please.
Some people react to classical music, and some to jazz, and some to pop, and some to rock and roll, and yeah.
Absolutely.
They're all sounds, aren't they?
They are, and they each have a different feel with them, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And especially with our own individual story, a song can take you back, to the moment in time whatever that occurred. I remember my grandfather when he was in this very last couple years of life there. He would sing the song and talk about like high school prom 70 years earlier. Just in that moment, you'd hear a song and boom, there he was telling that story. Very very interesting. And Dr. Adrian, any other thoughts? Dr. Vesna, Dr. George. Otherwise, we're going to shift gears and move into the quantum KST and remote healing work here.
While we're on the subject, I would like to mention Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. Have you heard? His chiropractor and his devoted years working with this. Have you mentioned him before? Have you mentioned him?
I have not. No. Please share a little more. Is this the infamous Dr. Thompson from Thompson Technique?
No.
Okay.
It's Dr. Jeffrey Thompson.
Okay.
Check it on YouTube. So he's researched years on the way the sound affects our brain waves and the way it's used for healing. And there's lots of free YouTube things available with him. And he does free podcasts every Sunday. Well worth listening to him.
Wow, beautiful recommendation. I'm definitely writing that down because there's a world of knowledge out there. And it's essentially when we cross correlate different sciences that we can see the connections of what it is to be a human being, and I'm sure there's a lot of that kind of information right there. And so here we want to physically apply it now for you, those that are tuning in live or later on in the stream. In fact, those that are in the private members area, they'll be getting the full experience. We're going to be shifting gears into that where we talk about our intentions, we talk about the work that we're going to do, and we break down the work that we do, and we're going to actually apply the healing input here in just a moment, or I'll say the aligning / tuning input in here in just a moment. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. And Dr. Adrian, thank you for joining us for the conversation about harmonics and your input there. So we'll see everybody on the other side there in the members area, Synergy Solutions. And we do broadcast one free session every month. That's a decision I made to go forward so I can continue to get the word out there and help people who want to connect. But there's also a very affordable, and there's a nice way to get it covered through the affiliate program to join in and be a participant on the live side of things. All right, everybody, have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
And enjoy your week. All right, we're going to go live there on the other side here in a minute.